This is preferredfutures.com. You're on the course Resilience. Lesson 1. A brief introduction. People react differently to stressful situations. While some few individuals seem to enjoy and thrive under adversity, most people don't. Since the mid-1990s, psychologists have been particularly interested in what makes people who see difficult times as rich in opportunity tick. What makes them ride the roller coaster of life so positively? A lot of that research was preempted by Susan Jeffers in her book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, which was first published in 1987. Jeffers argues that there's no such thing as a wrong decision. And before you shake your head and roll your eyes in disbelief, I recommend you hear her out in Lesson 5. Like much in positive psychology, the study of resilience is rather new. Some claim it's less than 50 years old. But it is based on many notions that are really quite ancient. Ideas about resilience fall into two camps, internal and external. Terms associated with internal resilience include grit, hardiness, being spunky, and showing perseverance. The ancient Greek Stoics, for instance, were very interested in such things. These are all associated with character, so they're about what helps the individual struggle through difficulties. External ideas about resilience are more focused on the context and what supports us in times of difficulty. This more modern way of looking at resilience includes community, education, beliefs, friends, resources, and infrastructure. Because the scientific study of resilience is quite new, the definitions of what resilience actually is vary according to who you ask. In the BBC podcast, The Science of Resilience, Professor Michael Plous from Queen Mary, University of London, describes resilience as doing better than expected in negative conditions. Whereas the American Psychological Association defines it as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. Both definitions are useful, but I think it's also helpful to see it as Professor Southwick from Yale Medical School does, as a sliding scale depending on the situation. An individual who adapts well to stress in the workplace or in an academic setting may fail to adapt well in their personal life or in their relationships. Sometimes, then, we find ourselves in situations that we can cope well with, and at other times we find ourselves pushed almost beyond our limits, even though our personality and place in life hasn't changed that much. So, resilience isn't only how tough we are or what resources we have, it can also be a description of our relationship with our situation. This lesson allows you to explore your internal resilience through a resilience questionnaire. Then there is a brief article to read covering the different facets of resilience, including external ones. And lastly, you are invited to make a definition of resilience that suits you. Armed with this definition, you will be ready to practice the skills that come up in lessons 2 to 5 in order to increase your resilience, no matter what level you are starting at.